Okay, folks, welcome back. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. My guest is Reverend Courtney Clayton Jenkins, pastor of Euclid Avenue Congregational Church, United Church of Christ in Cleveland, Ohio. I saw an interview with the Reverend, and I wanted to have her on to talk about that interview. Reverend Jenkins, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. How long have you been a reverend?
I've been ordained now for 3 years, but I have been serving in ministry over the last 11 years.
That's amazing. And were you called by God, or did you have to go to school to become a reverend?
I was called by God, and I chose to affirm that calling by continuing my education at Princeton Theological Seminary in New Jersey.
You know, it's interesting to me to see so many women becoming pastors and reverends and preachers. It's something new in America or in our society. Why and how did this come about? When in the good old days, when boys were boys and men were men, it was known that women are not called by God to be preachers and pastors because they're not ordained to be over men. What brought on this change?
I think that women started listening to God and not necessarily listening to man. That would be my assumption. I don't think that women accepting their calling to ministry necessarily diminishes the role of men. Historically, in the African American, in the church, in the black church, many women were told not to enter into ministry, having nothing to do with the scripture. But if you actually do the research, the reason many African American women were told not to enter into ministry was because the pulpit was to be the, quote, last safe space for black men during the time of slavery, and certainly as we came out of Jim Crow. And so what I think ultimately happened is just that women began listening to God's voice and putting God's calling, God's voice, God's commandment far over and above that of men. I don't think that my serving in ministry diminishes the role of men. I'm under my husband, who happens to be a pastor. He pastors another church here in the city of Cleveland, and we work together. And
so
he is confident.
You have your own church down the road, and your husband has his own church. How are you under him if you have your own church separate from him?
Well, he's my husband, and therefore he is my spiritual covering. And so I operate and function and serve underneath him. And if he tells me, for example, if he says to me, I believe God is calling you to go and serve this church down the street, if we go with your I sense a rather conservative interpretation of Scripture, which is fine. And so if I am to submit to him, let's use where you're perhaps coming from. If I am to submit to him and he says to me, I feel God calling you to lead these people down the street so that we can have a tremendous impact here in the city of Cleveland, then by using what I sense the area you're coming from, then I would be a disobedient wife. Is that correct?
If your husband told you not to, that you're not called by God, it's just a part of your imagination,
Sure.
would you drop this whole idea and go back home?
Well, we probably wouldn't be married only because we met at seminary. We met in seminary, and he has constantly said, I accepted my calling to ministry actually long before he accepted his. And so we probably would not have gotten together if he told me I couldn't serve in ministry.
And what would happen if he told you that?
Let me finish.
What would happen if he told you that now?
In fact, let me finish. In fact, it is the case that I was intentional about not wanting to marry a man in ministry because I was afraid that he would hinder me and tell me such things. My husband has absolutely stood by me, affirmed my call, and affirmed my gifts, and has encouraged me even in areas where I have felt I'm not sure about this, that I am to move out in the gift that God has given to me. Now, let me ask you one question.
Let me ask you one question.
No.
I'll let you.
I was told, Reverend Peterson,
Listen,
when I called up,
we got to get to that.
This is in response. No. That this was in response to an interview that I had done with Empowering Voices.
Right, and
nothing that you have done has led back to that.
We're on the way to that.
I would appreciate that your yes be yes and your no be no, and that you would honor your word in the invitation.
Hey, calm down.
No, please don't tell me to calm down.
Yeah,
because
calm
you're not
down.
being
You're
honest.
out of control right now. Calm down. Let me
Sir,
ask, if your husband...
words are very disrespectful. They're very disrespectful. It's not what the invitation said when it was extended to me.
I'm asking
you to honor your word.
Hey, you must calm down. You're losing it.
No, I'm not losing it,
yes,
sir. You're not honoring your word. You're not being a man of your word.
We're getting to know you, your thoughts, and how you came about to be...
So here's my question. Are you a man of your word?
We are getting there. Let me ask you this. Let me just respond to something you said. In the good old days when boys were boys and men were men...
So they're not now?
In the black churches, the reason women were not preachers and pastors, it was understood, according to the scriptures, by black men and women that it wasn't God's order that things should be that way. And the Christian men and women understood that. And so that's why you didn't have women in the pulpit prior to the last years. We can get to your article now. I'm sorry?
That's your understanding. I would disagree. I think we come from different sources, but that's fine. I respect where you're coming from because I'm going to respect you.
Yeah. Did you answer the question to where if your husband told you today, honey, I made a mistake, I was wrong, God did not call you to be a preacher, you need to go home, would you do it?
Well, let me ask this question. First of all, my husband wouldn't say that, but let me ask this question. What do you mean when you say you need to go home?
Meaning that you should...
I should just be a home caretaker? Is that what you mean?
I mean, the primary function of a wife is to assist...
As per your understanding and interpretation. Go ahead.
Assist the husband in raising the children and keeping the house moving forward.
And where is that in Scripture? Could you cite that for me, sir?
Helping him to maintain...
Could you cite that for me, sir?
Calm down.
No, it's not a calm down.
No, you
Give
must
me the
calm
where
down.
It says that.
You're acting
out.
out.
That's not wrong of me. You tell me what Scripture says, but then tell me where it says it in Scripture. That's not irrational of me.
No.
And I don't appreciate you portraying me as someone who is irrational when I'm simply asking you a question.
We're going to take a break.
Scripture?
When I come back, I want to talk to you about this article or this interview with
Sir,
Empowering...
I'm not going to be here when you come back from the break because I find you being very disrespectful.
You got to run?
I have no problem. It's not running.
You're about to run.
To you. I have a problem being disrespected. Now, and I think
Hold on for me. Let me take a break. Hang in there. I know it's rough, but hang in there. Okay, folks, welcome back. I am Justin Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. Taking your phone calls at 888-77-53-773, 888-77-JESSE. It's Preachers in the Pulpit. I think we lost the guest. Did she run? We had a guest, but Kelly's still talking to us, so maybe, just maybe, I don't know, but maybe she's bold enough to come back. I had with me, or I don't know exactly what's happening right now, is this Preachers in the Pulpit, by the way, Reverend Courtney Clayton Jenkins. He is the pastor of Euclid Avenue Congregational Church, United Church of Christ. And I think she ran. Let me just, I have to get it confirmed. Oh, she ran. She should not have done that. Chicken song. There you go, Reverend. That's the chicken song for the Reverend. It doesn't even sound right calling a woman a Reverend. That was the chicken song for Reverend Courtney Clayton Jenkins, pastor of Euclid Avenue Congregational Church, United Church of Christ, in Cleveland, Ohio. The woman was losing control right away. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing, Andre?
Holy water.
Andre said you need to put holy water on her. That's amazing. How would you like to be married to that one, huh? Poor husband. Man, you know what, preachers, I want you to know this. If you're truly, truly called by God to be reverends and preachers and pastors and all that stuff, God also prepares you to deal with issues in life. You don't run. You don't get mad and take off. The Reverend hung up on me, she ran. And you used to pray, there's no need to pray for her anymore. She's gone. Back in a moment.